In battle, he accidentally severed her hair. She knelt, whispering, "Now I must serve." Beginning, the twin sons of Carthian bled light over the Valley of Ruins, where two armies clashed in thunder and fire. Steel sang, plasma bolts burned the air, and the cries of both human and alien echoed across the shattered remains of ancient cities. Kale Vanar gripped his pulse sword tightly, every strike of its shimmering edge tearing through the armor of his enemies. He was a captain in the Terran resistance, one of the last human enclaves struggling to repel the dominion of Velari, an empire of warriors whose traditions were as old as the stars themselves. The Velari were humanoid but taller, their bodies marked with ritual scars and braids of hair that reached past their waists. Those braids were more than ornamentation. They were sacred, woven with strands from their ancestors, mixed with precious metals, each one representing lineage, loyalty, and honor. Kale knew this. He had studied their culture, but he had never expected to face one of their champions so soon. The battlefield split open when she arrived. A Velari war maiden, her armor etched with crimson sigils, moved like a storm through her soldiers. She wielded a glaive with impossible grace, cutting down resistance fighters in fluid arcs. Her hair, black as obsidian, braided thickly with silver threads, swirled around her like a living shadow. "Captain, she's cutting us apart," shouted one of Kale's men before being thrown back by the shockwave of her strike. Kale lunged forward, meeting her blow. Sparks burst between their weapons as plasma met alloy. She was stronger, her strikes deliberate, almost ceremonial. "You are Kale Vanar," she spoke in perfect Terran, her voice like a blade drawn slowly. "The one who humiliated my commander. I will take your head." Their duel tore through soldiers on both sides. Neither army interfered. Both knew better than to dishonor a duel between champions. Kale fought desperately, his sword dancing in swift arcs. She pressed him, blow after blow, until his muscles burned. Then fate intervened. In a reckless counter, Kale slashed upward. His blade missed her throat, but caught her braid. It severed cleanly. The braid, heavy with silver and history, tumbled to the ground. For a moment, the battlefield froze. The Velari champion stared at the braid in horror, her hand reaching for what was no longer there. Her glaive fell from her fingers. She dropped to her knees before him. Her voice was low, trembling, but filled with ritual weight. "Now I must serve." "Middle." Kale blinked, his chest heaving. "What?" The war maiden knelt before him, her head bowed. "You have cut my lineage braid. By the laws of the Velari, my honor is forfeit. I belong to you." The soldiers of both armies erupted into confusion. Humans stared in disbelief, while Velari warriors roared in anger. "What madness is this?" One of Kale's lieutenants hissed. "She surrendering?" But the Velari forces did not press forward. They knew the right. Among them, severing the braid was worse than death. It was enslavement. And once the vow was spoken, it was binding. The war maiden lifted her gaze, her eyes burning with restrained fury and shame. "My name is Serena Calith of House Veruin. By the oath of braid and blade, I am bound to you until my death." Kale's instinct screamed to finish her, to end the threat. But something in her voice, something broken yet resolute, stopped him. "I didn't mean to," he muttered. "It was an accident." "To cut one's braid is never an accident," Serena said coldly. "The ancestors guided your hand. You are my master now." The word made Kale recoil. He was no slaver. He fought for freedom, not chains. Yet the Velari would not accept her back. She would be cast out, hunted by her own people. The battle ended soon after. Without their champion, the Velari withdrew. The resistance had won, but Kale's victory tasted hollow. That night, as fires burned and the wounded were tended, Serena sat in silence outside Kale's command tent. She did not eat, did not rest. She merely waited like a sentinel. Kale confronted her. "You don't have to do this. You're free." Her eyes narrowed. "You do not understand. A Velari without braid is nothing. I would be killed by my own kin. Serving you is the only path left. Then why serve me at all? I'm your enemy." "Because," she whispered, her gaze distant, "in bondage, there may still be purpose. Perhaps the ancestors demand it." Days turned into weeks. Serena shadowed him on missions, fought beside him in skirmishes. At first, Kale's men distrusted her, but soon they witnessed her loyalty firsthand. She saved Kale's life more than once, intercepting blades, shielding him from fire. Yet Kale noticed the quiet sorrow in her eyes whenever her hand touched the ragged ends of her hair. At night, she whispered prayers to ancestors who no longer heard her. One evening, Kale confronted her again. "You're wasting yourself. You're a warrior, not a servant." "I am what your blade made me," she replied flatly. "No," Kale said firmly. "My people don't bind others. If you fight with us, it's by choice, not because of some oath." Serenia's expression cracked for the first time. "Choice," she echoed softly. "What is choice when my honor's ash?" But slowly, over months, the bond between them shifted. She began to smile in rare moments, to laugh quietly at the clumsy jokes of the soldiers. She trained them, teaching Veilari combat forms, and they began to see her not as a prisoner, but as one of them. Kale and Serenia grew close, though both avoided speaking of it. He admired her strength, her discipline, her stubborn to find meaning even in disgrace. She respected his defiance, his refusal to wield her vow like a weapon. Then came the day everything changed. The Veilari returned, not as raiders, but in full force. Armadas descended upon the resistance stronghold. Kale's forces were outnumbered, cornered, their defeat inevitable. The Veilari commander leading them was Lord Varric, Serenia's former betrothed. His warship blotted out the suns. When he saw Serenia standing beside Kale, his fury was uncontainable. "You dare show your face, braveless traitor?" Varric thundered across the battlefield. "You belong in chains or in the grave." Serenia's jaw tightened. "I belong where I choose." The word stunned Kale. She had spoken them herself, not because of her vow, but because she had accepted her place among the resistance. Varric offered Kale a bargain. Surrender Serenia, and he would spare the Enclave. Kale looked at her. She shook her head once. "No," Kale told Varric. "She's not yours. Not anymore." The battle erupted, ending. The resistance fought desperately, but the Veilari army pressed them hard. Kale and Serenia fought back to back, blades flashing, bodies moving in perfect synchrony. For the first time, she was not serving him out of ritual, but fighting beside him as an equal. Varric descended into the fray, his weapon a massive war axe humming with energy. His duel with Kale was brutal, but this time Kale was not alone. Serenia joined the fight, striking in harmony with him. The battle reached its climax when Varric disarmed Kale and raised his axe with a killing blow. But Serenia intercepted it. The strike tore through her armor, wounding her gravely, but she thrust her blade into Varric's chest in the same motion. Both fell together. Kale caught her as she collapsed. No, stay with me," he pleaded. Her hand touched his cheek, her eyes heavy but resolute. "Kale, I was bound to you by shame, but I stayed by choice. That is freedom." He refused to let her die. With the medic's help, she survived, though scarred. The Veilari forces, seeing their commander fall, withdrew once more. The resistance endured. In the months that followed, Serenia healed. She no longer whispered prayers of shame, but instead trained new warriors, her laughter more frequent, her spirit lighter. She began weaving a new braid, not of silver or ancestors' hair, but the threads of her new family, the resistance. One night, she approached Kale, holding out the unfinished braid. "This is not tradition," she said softly. "This is mine. Will you stand with me, not as master and servant, but as equal?" Kale smiled. "Always." And in the glow of the twin suns, Serenia bound her new braid with her own hands, not as a slave to the past, but as a warrior reborn.